Hi, I'm Kristina Lee, and in this video, I'm going to talk about how I went from being a private piano teacher to a YouTube content creator. So I have questions that I'm going to answer. I started teaching piano when I was in high school. My family had immigrated to the US and my parents had a grocery store. We didn't have a lot of money for extracurricular activities. So once I was able to drive, I got some students, I drove to their homes, and I started teaching piano. And that continued until I graduated from the University of Washington with a degree in piano performance. But to be honest, I didn't really like teaching piano during those years. I didn't really understand why people had such a hard time. It wasn't until I turned 40, and between my college years and until I turned 40, I didn't really teach piano. It wasn't until I came back to piano at age 40, teaching, that I remade myself as a piano teacher, and I fell in love with teaching piano. I fell in love with teaching piano when I started really paying attention to my students, and my teaching became more about the students than about me or even about the piano. And this is when I started being able to connect with my students in a way that they could really connect with the music as well as me. And this is when things become really fun. And I do love that private teaching settings because I feel like it's such a sacred space. And we don't have spaces like that very much in this day and age. You know, I feel privileged that I can sit with a 5-year-old, a 8-year-old, or 10-year-old, or 15-year-old, or 65-year-old, and we have this incredible moment of connecting through music and piano. And I just love those moments when I can see the aha. You know, it really takes some time sometimes for things to click. And I just wait for that moment. And when I see that twinkle in my students' eyes and we just have this moment, I live for those moments. So that's probably the best thing about private teaching, because I've had so many of those moments with all of my students that I was able to create a course that speaks to many people. I also love that piano teachers are in a student's life for potentially many years. You know, I've taught one student for over 10 years, over 5 years. You know, with me, it's like minimum 3 years a student stays with me. So during that time, on a weekly basis, who gets to have that kind of time with an individual? So I really cherish that about private piano teaching. After about 2 years into teaching piano, when I turned 40, and 2 years after that, I never had to advertise. I always had a waiting list. And then I realized that I can't teach more than a certain number of students. Also, I can only teach people who are, close to me geographically and was able to afford private lessons. Also, I was facing with my own physical challenges, teaching in person and sitting in a certain way that was ergonomically challenging for me. I was starting to feel all of that in my body. So I wanted to create another stream of income, and that's why I went into coaching, because I thought I could start a coaching business, just like I built the piano business. And I loved coaching, but what coaching did for me during the training time is that it opened my eyes, opened my mind to something broader, and I started thinking very creatively. Now, before I went to coaching, people did tell me oh, why don't you create a course? And I thought, I can't create a course. What we experience in piano lessons is so organic, like I just talked about in my previous answer. I thought, how do I make it powerful like we experienced in one-on-one piano lessons? How do I do that in a video, like pre-recorded video format? So I said no for years. But through coaching, I started asking the question, well, what if I change my mind and think that it's possible? If it's possible, what would that course look like? And when I started asking those questions, I started getting the inspiration. Literally, I started like thinking pieces, and I sat down and I started creating pieces for the course. And when that came, I knew that I had something special to offer, and I knew that I could create a course that is very much like what I would do if I was teaching them in a private lesson setting. Once I had the inspiration, I just had to go for it. I didn't know how this was gonna all unfold at all, but I had this conviction. And then once I started working on it, I realized that this was going to be part of my legacy for my life. The fact that I can create something that represents those hours of teaching, you know, like over 10,000 of hours of teaching one-on-one, that I can leave for people who want to learn from me. That became a driving force in my life. I basically like sequestered myself for like 6 weeks, and I went into production. I also started working with a coach, Nikki, who's a watercolor artist, and she's also a content creator. So during this time, she really helped me to understand how to make this course really authentic to me, and therefore reach the students that would be the right students for me. As I said earlier, I had no idea how I was going to promote my course. And it was actually Nikki who said, I think you should use YouTube. I think YouTube is going to be the right avenue for you. I actually had no idea, because I used YouTube for like putting some of my students like past recitals. I did a project, a Lenten project, where I learned like 24 Bach preludes and I posted them. But that was about it. And I didn't really try to promote YouTube either. It was just for like people who knew me. And I had under 100 subscribers. So I had no idea. And I just started thinking, okay, I'm gonna just start putting some, you know, similar videos like my course. And then one day I just didn't have enough time to like organize all of that. So I sat down and recorded like an advice. And that's the first like advice video. It's called God Circle Practice, if you find it. And I noticed that once I posted that, people were watching and interacting with me. And that's when I realized, oh, people want advice. And that's how this channel has been growing and being nurtured during this 12 months. Yes, that's true. I watched YouTube whenever I needed to find a song or piece for my students. That's about it. I do watch YouTube more now. And so I'm learning also about YouTube. But you know what? I hope this could be an encouragement for someone. You don't have to know everything about everything to start something new. If you can learn it when you need it, and trust in yourself that you have the resources to do it when you have that conviction, when you follow your passion and desire. What surprised me the most is the genuine connections people are making with me. I didn't really have much faith in this kind of like social media platform. I haven't been a robust user in any of the platforms, But in the way that people were connecting with me, I could really tell they are genuinely wanting to learn. And when I saw that, it's like those magical moments in my private lessons. Those became my magical moments, those words, those feedback, and those questions. So I was so surprised that I could make these incredible connections with people that I had never met. One of the things you have to keep in mind is that when you're creating videos, you are envisioning a student who's not there. So it is, on one hand, quite different. On the other hand, I think of those moments in my piano lessons where I taught real students and they had these real questions and we had these real connections. So all of those things like come back into my videos, and I try to anticipate the challenges and questions that my viewers will have. So it is different, but also it is same in the sense that the audience is the same. It's just broader, and you get to choose to learn from me. I don't have control over that. But when I'm creating videos, I am thinking about real life piano lesson scenarios. And another thing is I really love, I still teach private lessons, small group of students while I'm running my online business. I really love the synergy between the two. Because I'm creating all these videos, you know, I have to think through what they have to know more systematically in the videos. In piano teaching, in one-on-one settings, it can be a little bit more organic. I can wait until the student comes to that point of question. So because I'm doing both of these teaching, I think it's always affecting each other and it's making the other better. Like when I'm teaching in person, I can think more systematically and methodically. And when I'm making my videos, I think about those instances in my private teaching and bring that into the videos. I'll be honest with you, when I completed the course, I had no idea what it was going to be like for the student going through the course. Of course, I did watch the whole thing once I edited my videos, and I knew that I had something special. And I felt like I did capture the essence of my teaching. But then, you know, the audience is like out there, so I had no idea what kind of feedback I was gonna get. The biggest growth of this course are the students. The students who came into the course, who went through my lessons and interacted with me. And through those interactions, I was able to create even a more powerful course over this past year. Some of those lessons or modules I had questions about whether I should include in this first course or not, I ended up adding those lessons. So now it's like doubled in volume. And I realized that while they were enjoying the initial offering, there were many people who wanted something more robust as well, especially if they had some musical background playing other instruments. So it's grown in every way: the course itself, the content, the students, and the impact of it. I'm most proud of the genuine feedback I got from the students who went through the course. When I heard comments and feedback like, "Piano has brought joy back into my life," I could really hear the presence of a loved one who passed away when I play the piano. This is a dream come true. I waited all my life to play the piano. When I hear these comments, this course is so clear. I never felt lost. I could follow you step by step, and I knew exactly what you wanted me to do. Students saying, I love playing Dusk. I really enjoy it. These are the most proud things in my life. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this journey of becoming a YouTuber, a content creator. There's a lot of ups and downs. And I had to deal with my, ups and downs. And there are times when I was in a dark place and I heard by an email or feedback like this, I just felt like, you know what? If it was all about making this one person happy for today and bringing joy, it's worth it. So that's what I'm most proud of. I would tell her that you're gonna have a great adventure that you could have never imagined. And you're gonna make great friends all over the world. And you're gonna have this privilege of offering the greatest gift you have to the world for anyone to take and participate and enjoy.